Okay, so today we're going to talk about the OSI model, which is a useful tool to remember when it comes to troubleshooting network faults because you can categorize a specific error onto a certain layer. And how it works from the top, the layer 7, down to layer 1. So the layer 7, the application layer, is the layer closest to the user, and layer 1, the physical layer, is the layer furthest away from the user. So your cabling or your microwaves in wireless communication, for example. So let's go through what's happened in each layer. We'll start with the application layer, which is your Outlook, your Firefox, your Skype. And useful protocol to remember at this layer is HTTP. Next, layer 6 is your presentation layer, which is responsible for compression of data and the encryption of data. So JPEG files, for example, or SSL encryption. Layer 5 is your session layer. So anytime a computer wants to communicate with a web server, that creates a session, which is what's happening at this layer. Your transport layer is the layer responsible for how much data is being sent or how long the computer is going to wait for data to be received. And really useful protocols to remember at this layer are TCP and UDP, which we'll go over in detail in later classes. The network layer is responsible for IP addressing, and the devices used at this layer are routers, which is not to be confused with layer 2, which is responsible for MAC addressing, and the devices used at this layer are switches. So it's important to remember layer 2 and layer 3 are switches at layer 2, so often you'll see layer 2 switching and routers at layer 3. Finally, you've got the physical layer, which is your cabling and data encoding, fiber or microwaves in wireless communication. So hopefully you can see how troubleshooting can work through this model from bottom to top, starting with physical layer. For example, the simply plugging a cable back in is the way to start when you are presented with a network error.